They said, there's all these drugs in this bag, and he says to the police, from this report, he says, "Oh, I thought it was just shoes or clothes." He come to find out later that a buddy from Mexico had met him in Arizona, given him this duffel bag, and said, "Hey, if you get this duffel bag to Colorado, I'll give you $50,000." So at that point, with that information we now know, that means Jesus Camargo Corrales is either a liar, and he lied to the police, which is never good, or he is the dumbest person in the history of the world for thinking that it was clothes and shoes and not drugs. Whatever. Number 2, a personal one. The Bengals cut Geno Atkins, and AJ Green signs with the Arizona Cardinals, officially closing the book on that era of Bengals football. Those teams that went to the playoffs from 2010 to 2015, or 2011 to 2015. It was a very fun. That was the Bengals I watched from 8th grade to senior year of high school. Those are some of my favorite Bengals teams, and they've kind of fallen apart over the years. I think the only players left from those teams that are still on the roster are Kevin Huber, who's the punter who we just re-signed, and Clark Harris, who we re-signed, who's the long snapper. I think those are the only 2 players left. Carlos Dunlap was traded last year to the Seahawks. Andy Dalton was cut last year and signed by the Cowboys, now at the Bears. AJ Green, now on the Cardinals. Geno Atkins, no longer on the team. And those are the franchise's third leader in passing yards and passing touchdowns, second all-time in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns, and the guys that rank second and third all-time in sacks. That's what you call creating a new era. They moved on. That talent was no longer getting it done. It was washed up. And unlike what they've done in the past, where they hold on to them for too long, they let them go. They bring in new guys. T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, DJ Reader, Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson. It's rebuilding in a way the Bengals haven't rebuilt before, and I love it, and I'm super excited about it. I think this is going to be... I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals not only made the playoffs this year, but also won a playoff game, kind of like the Browns did this year. And the number one thing that caught my eye this weekend is something that I kind of have a little bit of a stake in just because of family, and it's me saying I have a stake in that is incredibly stupid. I definitely don't. But there were the Instagram post from Overtime WBB on Instagram talking about the difference in between what was going on in the men's bubble in Indianapolis and Indiana and the women's bubble in San Antonio. And it's hard to describe it on an audio platform like this. But basically, the men are getting a lot of stuff, and the women are getting really shitty stuff. The men have like this big workout room, almost entire auxiliary gym dedicated to weightlifting and working out in between games, while the women's weight room, quote unquote, was just a little thing of dumbbells going up to like 25 pounds. The pictures of what they were eating, the men had this big kind of buffet style thing for after the games. It looked like the women were eating like a Salisbury steak, Hungry Man's dinner, which looked disgusting. You have the difference in the goodie bags that they were being given by the two teams. And yeah, it's just, I don't understand, if you're the NCAA, how you keep having these problems come up. I mean, how do they not have somebody on site that's like, ugh, this isn't a good look. Like, we could at least put up for some effort to try to avoid this absolute PR nightmare that they have going on. And there is the argument to be had that men's basketball does bring in a lot more money than women's basketball. But I don't think that matters a whole bunch here. I think all the money that both those sports bring in, both go to the NCAA, and the NCAA can divide that however they want. They're not making a whole bunch of money either place on ticket sales this year, so why not make it at least a little more even? As somebody who has a sibling that plays women's college basketball, that's just how I feel. I don't think it's a huge scandal in the grand scheme of things, but I also just don't know how the NCAA just keeps getting trapped into these absolute PR nightmares that they find themselves in at all times. That's all we have for the podcast. Also want to shout out Leo High School and Blackhawk Christian High School, both in the state championships. I believe it's Leo's first state championships. Blackhawk Christian is trying to go back-to-back and win their first 2A state championship. Wait. Yeah, they're in 2A now because Lewis is in 3A. Leo, who got all they could handle for the Bishop Brewers Knights in sectionals, needing overtime to win. Blackhawk Christian led by Purdue recruit Caleb First. Very fun. Love Indiana high school basketball. Indiana high school baseball starting soon. I'll probably be at some Brewers games. I didn't really even go watch high school baseball when I was in high school, but I'm going to go watch some now. Starting this week, I'm going to reach out, ask some people about interviews. Hoping to get some good interviews from a couple of different people. A high school football coach, college basketball player turned college basketball coach. We'll see what we got. Reach out. Let me know if you want to co-host an episode. I would love to have somebody on so I don't have to carry the whole weight of this podcast by myself. But I've been Travis Javins. This has been BagTalk. Share, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Retweet the podcast link. Please listen to this. Tell your friends to listen to this. The more views and the more eyes I feel on this, the better I can perform. I just want to make this as good as possible. So, BagTalk, like, share, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe, retweet, signal boost, whatever you got to do. This has been BagTalk. Thank you very much.